Sometimes when we talk about childbirth, it feels like everyone is describing the same beautiful sunset they've never really watched. The story sounds warm, glowing, full of miracles. Something you frame, something you post, something you're expected to smile about. But behind that carefully curated picture, many women in America walk into a storm no one warned them about. It's not a dramatic, movie-style storm. It's quieter, like a slow leak in the walls of a house. You don't notice it at first until one day the entire structure feels heavier, softer, and strangely fragile. That quiet weakening, that emotional collapse after childbirth is real, and yet almost no one wants to say it out loud. Not because they're hiding it, but because they don't have the language for it. How do you explain a feeling that's equal parts love, fear, exhaustion, and identity loss, all happening in the same breath? Today, we're going to talk about that space. Messy, human, and deeply misunderstood. Not to blame anyone, not to dramatize anything, but to finally name what has been nameless for too long. In psychology, there's a term called transition shock, the emotional jolt that happens when life shifts so quickly that your mind can't rearrange itself fast enough. Becoming a mother is one of the most intense versions of that shock, not because motherhood is negative, but because it is too big, too sudden, and too rewiring for the human brain to process smoothly. Before childbirth, a woman's life has a certain rhythm, sleep that comes in predictable cycles, thoughts that belong mostly to herself, and an identity built from choices she makes freely. But the moment the baby arrives, that rhythm collapses and reforms into something unfamiliar. It's like moving to a new country overnight, a country where you don't speak the language, yet you're expected to survive instantly. Biologically, the body experiences one of the steepest hormonal drops known in medical science: estrogen and progesterone, two chemicals that influence mood, stress tolerance, and emotional regulation, plunge within hours after birth. For comparison, the hormonal shift after childbirth is more dramatic than the entire range of changes during a full menstrual cycle. Now add sleep deprivation, broken into unpredictable fragments, sometimes 1 or 2 hours at a time. Neuroscience shows that prolonged sleep disruption weakens the brain's emotional brakes, making even small stressors feel overwhelming. So when a new mother bursts into tears because the baby won't latch or because the bottle spills, she's not being dramatic. Her brain is exhausted. And then comes the psychological load, the invisible weight. Questions like, am I doing this right? Is the baby breathing okay? What if something goes wrong? Run on a loop in her mind. This constant vigilance activates the brain's threat system, the same system designed for emergencies, not everyday survival. That's why many new mothers describe the early weeks as living with their nerves on the outside of their skin. Every sound feels louder, every worry feels heavier, every silence feels suspicious. But underneath the biology, there's something even more human happening. A psychological earthquake that splits identity into before and after. The before self knew who she was, her routines, her strengths, her limits, her preferences. The after self is suddenly responsible for a life she cannot negotiate with, postpone, or take a break from. This isn't just a role change. It's what psychologists call an identity reconstruction. It's the same process people go through after major life events, like grief, migration, or recovering from trauma. Except with motherhood, society expects you to smile through it. That expectation is what makes the collapse silent. Women aren't breaking down because they're weak.
They're breaking down because they've been required to stay strong in conditions where no human brain is built to stay strong. It's not a failure of character. It's a mismatch between biology, psychology, and cultural expectation. And understanding that mismatch is the first step to healing, because once we see what's happening clearly, compassion becomes easier. Not only compassion for mothers, but compassion for families trying to navigate something no one ever taught them to navigate. This isn't a story about blame. It's a story about human limits and how much gentler life becomes when we admit them.
In many American homes, the patterns are strikingly similar. A mother walking back and forth in the living room at 3 a.m., rocking a tiny newborn against her chest, while tears slip down her face for reasons she can't name. It's not sadness, it's not joy. It's something in between. An emotional state that has no simple label, only weight. And in the quiet glow of a nightlight, she wonders whether anyone else feels this way, or whether she's becoming someone she no longer recognizes. Other times, it's a sudden spike of alertness when she hears a sound, except it isn't the baby crying, just the dishwasher cycling or a neighbor's car door opening. Her nervous system reacts before her mind can catch up, as if danger is always one breath away. These moments aren't overreactions. They are the predictable responses of a body that has been running on high alert for far too long. There's the mother who responds to congratulatory texts with cheerful emojis because she doesn't know how to explain the emptiness sitting behind her ribs. She loves her baby deeply, fiercely, even instinctively, but that love doesn't cancel out the hollowness inside. The two coexist, tightly intertwined, creating a confusion she doesn't know how to articulate without feeling like she's doing motherhood wrong. Sometimes she looks at her husband, sleeping peacefully, and feels a quiet jealousy that quickly turns into guilt. It's not that she wants him to suffer, it's that her world has been turned inside out, while his remains mostly intact. She feels both envy and love, resentment and gratitude, all in the same breath. Few emotional experiences in adulthood are this complex, yet postpartum culture rarely allows room to talk about them honestly. And then there's the bathroom moment, the universal refuge. A mother steps inside, shuts the door, pretends to fix her hair, and simply breathes. Those small, stolen minutes aren't dramatic, they're survival. They are the body's way of saying, please let me exist for a moment without being needed. These patterns aren't signs of weakness. They are the behavioral fingerprints of a nervous system overloaded by hormonal changes, chronic sleep deprivation, and the emotional weight of constant caregiving. When a mother collapses emotionally after childbirth, it isn't because she's flawed. It's because the demands placed on her are biologically and psychologically immense.
Scientifically, the emotional collapse sits at the intersection of four major systems. The endocrine system, where hormones drop dramatically. The nervous system, where sleep loss disrupts emotional regulation. The social system, where mothers lack practical support. And the cognitive system, where unrealistic expectations create constant self-judgment. These systems collide, overwhelming even the strongest women. But from a philosophical lens, especially an existential one, motherhood marks a profound rupture. The moment a new life begins is also the moment an old version of the mother ends. No one pauses to grieve that previous self. No one asks her how it feels to lose the life she knew, even as she gains a life she loves. Emotional collapse happens in the in-between space, between who she was and who she is becoming. She doesn't fully belong to either world. This liminal state is uncomfortable, disorienting, and deeply human. Yet society frames it as a personal failure rather than a universal transition. None of this is anyone's fault. Not the husband's, not the wife's, not the grandparents', and certainly not the baby's. The deeper issue is that modern American society is built around individual independence, while childbirth is fundamentally a communal experience. These two realities crash into each other, and the mother absorbs the full impact. The misunderstandings only make things worse. That sadness means she doesn't love her baby, that only weak women struggle, that everyone goes through it, you'll be fine, or that husbands don't help because they don't care. These beliefs flatten a complex reality and silence the conversations mothers desperately need. Many American men were raised in a culture where emotional expression wasn't taught, encouraged, or modeled. It's not that they don't care, they simply lack the emotional vocabulary to step in confidently. And mothers, drowning in both love and exhaustion, often don't know how to ask for help in a way that doesn't feel like admitting defeat.
Let me tell you about Emily, a mother from suburban Ohio. In the first few weeks after giving birth, she would sit in her dimly lit living room, her baby swaddled in her arms, and feel an emptiness she could not name. She loved her child beyond measure, but she also felt invisible, as if she had vanished while the baby was the only one who truly existed. One night, at 2 a.m., Emily tried to soothe her baby who wouldn't sleep. She bounced gently, whispered lullabies, and tried every trick she had read online. Still, tears rolled down her cheeks for no apparent reason. In those moments, she realized she was crying not just for exhaustion, but for the life she had lost. The life before motherhood, simple and self-directed. During the day, she tried to keep appearances. She smiled at visitors, posted photos online, and answered messages with enthusiasm. But inside, she felt like a puppet performing joy. She longed for someone to acknowledge that her love for her baby and her profound exhaustion could coexist without judgment. Emily's husband, Jake, tried to help, but often didn't know how. He wanted to fix things, offer solutions, and cheer her up. But Emily didn't need solutions. She needed acknowledgement, empathy, and small shared moments of care. Their miscommunication wasn't neglect, it was a cultural gap in emotional expression, a gap many American couples experience. One afternoon, Emily locked herself in the bathroom for 10 minutes, breathing slowly, listening to the hum of the water heater. Those 10 minutes were the only sanctuary she had that day, a small island of calm in a sea of responsibility. It was nothing dramatic, but for her nervous system, it was survival, a chance to reset. Over time, Emily began to understand that these feelings were not a sign of weakness. They were part of the human process, biological, psychological, and deeply existential. She learned to ask for help, to speak honestly with Jake, and to accept that love and exhaustion could coexist without judgment. Emily's story is one of thousands in the U.S. Every mother has her own version of this delicate dance between joy, fear, love, and exhaustion. The story matters because it makes the invisible visible. It reminds us that postpartum collapse isn't shameful, it is human.
There is no single solution for postpartum emotional collapse, but there are practical strategies that can help mothers reclaim balance and humanity in their daily lives. The first step is acknowledging the feelings without judgment. Simply naming the emotions, exhaustion, fear, guilt, love, creates space for compassion. Sleep, even in small doses, is a cornerstone. Encouraging mothers to rest whenever possible, even if it means asking for help, is not indulgence, it is survival. Short naps, staggered shifts with a partner, or support from extended family can significantly reduce the burden on the nervous system. Communication with partners is another essential step. Mothers often need empathy, not solutions. A husband or partner who listens without judgment, offers small gestures of care, or simply holds space for the mother's experience contributes profoundly to her recovery. Building micro moments of self-care are vital. 10 minutes in the bathroom, a short walk outside, a cup of tea enjoyed in silence. These small acts are not luxuries. They are resets for the nervous system. By acknowledging the body's needs, the mother signals to herself that her life matters alongside the child's life. Social support networks are powerful buffers. Connecting with other mothers, attending postpartum support groups, or simply sharing experiences with trusted friends normalizes the complex feelings and reduces isolation. No mother should feel she is the only one experiencing this invisible weight. Professional guidance is often necessary. Therapists trained in postpartum mental health can help mothers navigate identity shifts, hormonal impacts, and emotional regulation. Therapy is not a sign of weakness. It is a tool to understand, integrate, and heal the profound changes of motherhood. Mindful practices such as meditation, gentle stretching, or even breathing exercises can reframe the nervous system's response to stress. 5 minutes of focused breathing may feel trivial, but cumulatively, these small interventions reduce anxiety and increase emotional resilience. Finally, reframing societal expectations is essential. A mother does not have to perform perfection. She does not have to be joyful at all times. Understanding that love and exhaustion coexist allows her to navigate motherhood with honesty, patience, and self-compassion. These strategies together, rest, communication, micro self-care, social support, professional guidance, mindfulness, and realistic expectations, don't eliminate the challenges of postpartum life, but they make it possible to survive, thrive, and reconnect with the self that still exists, quietly waiting to be remembered.
Motherhood is not just the birth of a child, it is the rebirth of the self. The old version disappears and a new version emerges in ways that are beautiful, messy, exhausting, and profound all at once. This paradox, love and fatigue intertwined, is the quiet truth of postpartum life. From Emily's story to countless mothers across the U.S., we learn that the journey is as much about inner navigation as it is about caring for a newborn. Here are 3 practical lessons. 1. Permission to feel. Allow yourself to experience all emotions, joy, exhaustion, fear, love, without judgment. Naming and acknowledging feelings is the first step toward healing. 2. Small acts matter. Micro moments of self-care. 10 minutes in the bathroom, a cup of tea, a short walk are not indulgences, they are essential resets for body and mind. 3. Connection is survival. Reach out, share your experience, and accept help. Social support normalizes your experience and reduces isolation, reminding you that you are not alone in this journey. If you resonate with this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Comment your thoughts, experiences, or questions below. We want to create a space where postpartum realities are acknowledged openly. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories, insights, and practical guidance on motherhood. Remember, embracing both love and exhaustion does not diminish your strength, it defines the depth of your humanity. Motherhood is not a test, it's an evolution, a journey, and a story worth telling.